Welcome to the Chelsea Fans Channel. Now, as you know, Chelsea have a massive fixture this weekend. We are joined by none other than my favourite YouTuber. Yeah, that is an actual statement. I'm going to go there. He's my favourite YouTuber. We are joined by the True Geordie. How are you?
Thanks very much for that compliment, Rory. I mean, after my team are about to hand you 3 points, it's the least you can say, isn't it, really?
Oh, God, do you actually think that?
Oh, mate, Jose Mourinho's hoodoo at St James's is coming to an end, mate. When Sheffield Wednesday reserves beat you, you know you've got problems. So,
Do you know what? Under normal circumstances, Chelsea fans should be really confident for this round of fixtures. We've had some very good results. Obviously, we beat Arsenal. We had a good result in the week against Walsall. But for some reason, I have a niggling suspicion that this could be a really tough game. Mourinho has a terrible record at St James's Park. Does that not open up a bit of confidence for you?
well, I think the only reason Newcastle will get anything out of this game is it's like you've been humiliated. We put out pretty much our first string team against Sheffield Wednesday, who made 10 changes. And yet we still got beat. So maybe the players will feel like, all right, we'll have to put a performance in this game. When you look at Newcastle's fixtures this season, against Watford, against Swansea, teams where they're not the biggest name, that's where we're being absolutely battered. But against Arsenal and Man United, other than an own goal, we kept clean sheets in both those games. One of those games we're down to 10 men. So we do tend to turn up against the big teams for some strange reason. So that's the only reason we'll get a point or anything out of this game. But you know, surely Chelsea, you know, you're off the back of a really good win against Arsenal. You're going to sweep their side, I would imagine, mate.
Well, I hope so. Obviously, I hope you're correct. But there is something troubling me. What's the mood like on Tyneside at the moment? How are you feeling under McLaren? Is it all rosy?
It's one of those things, mate, when we got rid of Pardew, we were hoping for someone a bit more inspirational. We got Pardew's right-hand man, John Carver. Obviously, it was just like the same thing, same problems. We wanted totally new ideas, totally new thoughts, and we go for a mediocre championship manager. And I think, what has he done to prove that he should be Newcastle manager? But the fans genuinely thought, you know what it is, we've been through hell in the last couple of years. Let's just give him a chance. Let's go with it. He's brought in 4 players. None of them are Premier League proven. They all look like they could be decent players, but you know, what the idea is, obviously, you know yourself at Chelsea, you've got a very good squad there, and you bring in a player who hopefully the quality of the squad is going to rub off on him, and he's going to gel with the squad and become a championship contender himself. With Newcastle, we seem to try and buy good players and hope for that would rub off on the current squad, but instead, how bad the current squad, how shite they are, rubs off on the new players, and we just seem to end up terrible.
Oh, God. Do you know what? You have a very good insight on football, not just Newcastle United. What's your opinions on Chelsea this season?
I kind of seen it coming, to be honest, because at the end of last season, you know, you hobbled across the finish line like an old lady going across a zebra crossing. There was obvious problems in the team. John Terry, is he going to stay around forever? Obviously not. Everyone knows that. Nemanja Matic is having to do way too much work in the centre of midfield. He needed a partner. You know, all right, you couldn't get Pogba, but somebody else surely would have been a good idea. Even Kondogbia was available. Somebody like that, you know, maybe it's a Vidal, someone like an all-out action midfielder. And let Cesc Fabregas go further forward and not have to leave gaping holes at the back. So, you know, but I couldn't have predicted, I have to admit, how poor Fabregas, Hazard and Costa would start the season. I wasn't ready for that. I'm pretty disappointed in them, if I'm honest. How do you see it, mate?
Well, I think it's been a shocking start, and I think a lot of that is due to the form of Cesc Fabregas. Our season last year was built on a brilliant pivot between Matic and Fabregas, but that just hasn't worked this season. But the good news is for us that Mourinho seems to have realised that, and what we've seen recently is an exploding onto the scene of Ruben Loftus-Cheek. And I think that he could play in this fixture. He was so good in the week. And if he plays alongside Matic, that will free Fabregas up. And going from there, it could sort of rejuvenate our season, I think, having, you know, a youth product in this first team. I think things could be good, but I am worried. I am worried about this fixture.
Yeah, you know Mourinho rates Loftus-Cheek, because I remember recently he had one very good performance and everyone was raving about him, and then he got quite lazy in the game after, and he was like, that's not good enough. So for Mourinho to even show enough of an interest to even comment on him, you know Mourinho must rate him. But I was very impressed, I have to say, against Arsenal with Oscar. You know, I've been quite critical of him in the past, but he did exactly what you always say about him that is good, which is he was making so many tackles in their half it wasn't even funny. And really, he just put the mark down, and no Arsenal player was getting through him. So I was really impressed with him. He gave the ball away a bit, but I'm worried about that.
Yeah, I can see how that's certainly an issue. From a Chelsea fan's perspective now, obviously our knowledge of Newcastle United isn't as good as yours. If you are going to cause us a problem, who should we be watching out for?
You might have to give us a while here. Mitrovic, I think, might be back for this game. He, on his day, is a total wild card. He's capable of the brilliant. He's capable of the idiotic. He's a powerhouse. Mourinho does rate him. I'm pretty sure that you were tracking him for a while. He is a big, strong, hold the ball up kind of striker. So he might cause a few problems. I'm hoping he causes the right problems for you and not the wrong problems for us, mate. Yeah,
well, it's going to be interesting, actually, because John Terry, I hope, plays in this game. But those two could have a right old tussle on the day, couldn't they?
Yeah, mate, definitely. And also, there's Gini Wijnaldum, who was voted Dutch Player of the Year. Yeah. Jose Mourinho was quoted as saying he would walk into the Chelsea team. But since coming to Newcastle, he's the kind of player who benefits from having a lot of the ball. And he hasn't had that. We've been without the ball for most of our games. And when we do get the ball, we give it away like it's Christmas. So I'm hoping that Gini Wijnaldum can start getting more of the ball and do what he does best, mate.
Right. And, from our perspective, I think that a player that could really cause you some damage, assuming that Mourinho plays him, because against Walsall we played both Falcao and Remy, and I think that Remy was head and shoulders above Falcao that day. So I'm hoping that in the spirit of it being a meritocracy, Loic Remy will lead Chelsea's line. You know the man well.
Loic Remy is one of the most underrated... people do not realise how good he is. They really don't realise how good he is. Arsenal begging for a striker. I'm telling you now, Loic Remy would lead the line and would probably hit 20 goals in a season, easy, if he played first choice for Arsenal all season. That's how good he is. And yet he's second or third choice at Chelsea. He was fantastic for Newcastle. I don't know if he made the right decision for his own career, but I've got no doubt that he would deliver for Chelsea, and he probably would score against. I've seen him score plenty for Newcastle. He's got it all. He can turn, he can shoot, he's got pace, he's strong enough. He's a really top striker, and if Costa does have more injury worries, he will, do well for you, in my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you said. I think he is a fantastic player. And to be completely honest, I think he's probably the most natural goal scorer at Chelsea. I think in terms of just having a natural aptitude to finish, I think that he has it all. And there isn't really a flaw in his game. He's good in the air, he's very quick, he finishes, scores from inside the box, outside the box. So I'm hoping that he can cause you a few problems Saturday afternoon. Yeah,
I had a little moment with him once at St James's. He jumped onto the edge of the crowd and he saluted right at us, and I saluted back, and now I'll be giving him a different kind of salute when he comes back.
Do you know he tells that same story? I once met him, and he told me how you saluted at him.
Oh, bet he remembers that one in his diary, mate.
Absolutely. Right, well, thank you so much for coming on. It really is a pleasure to have you aboard.
Yeah, thanks very much for having us on, mate, and good luck to everyone at the channel, all your subscribers, but just after the weekend, yeah?
Thank you very much. No, it really is. I think that you do run a wonderful channel. Thank you so much for coming on.
Cheers, Paul.
Cheers.